Welcome to This Is My Architecture. I'm Matt from AWS. Today we're in Las Vegas at AWS reInvent 2018, and I'm joined by Mobeen from AT&T. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Matt, for having me here.
So I know AT&T from the cell phone in my pocket, for example, but you're also doing a lot of innovative things in IoT, right?
That is correct. So we connect a lot of consumer and business devices using our IoT solutions and our network. Think about cars, think about cranes, industrial assets, supply chain, dog trackers. These are all the devices that we connect today, and you can purchase them directly from AT&T or through some of our partners.
Great. So I talk to a lot of customers all the time who are trying to figure out how they can integrate IoT into their business, into the way that their customers use their products. And a lot of them perceive that it has to be complicated or that there's a barrier of entry, but it doesn't have to be. And in fact, you've built a elegantly simple solution using AWS one-click, is that right?
That is correct. IoT solutions is still a complex undertaking.
Yeah.
It requires hardware, networking, software capabilities, cloud capabilities, and then connections into a back-end system. So it is a complex undertaking. The key here in the effort that we did with AWS is around simplifying that into very specific use cases. There is a lot of customizations and flexibility built in as well, but out of the box, you get capability that you can use right away.
Great. So today we're going to talk about a button, is that right? It's something that allows customers to easily trigger an event, is that right?
That is correct. So I'm going to talk about it and bring up a little prop here. This
Great.
is an AT&T LTE-M button.
Mm-hmm.
You press the button to start dispatch or to collect, ask somebody to come and do something and have a function call that happens just by one click. This button has an AT&T LTE-M SIM inside of it.
Okay.
It is good for 5 years or more. It connects to our network. LTE-M network is designed specially for IoT use cases, and it provides all the security and connectivity that we're going to talk about today.
Great. So let's start there. So you're holding that button in your hand. When you press that button, what happens? Is there software running inside that is running an operating system of some kind? How is it built?
Yeah, this is a simple Linux operating system
Yeah.
with a controller of some kind, as well as a radio module that connects it to our network, and the software that can help it connect to a one-click software on the AWS side. It also has security built in,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can connect from the button, for example, to the network, all the way to the one-click software using TLS and X509 certificates.
Okay, great. So the data is encrypted in transit, and you said X509, so does that imply that it's certificate-based authentication?
That is correct. It's certificate-based authentication. Now, again, going back to your simplicity question earlier, we have managed that. We manage that on behalf of the customers today.
Yep.
So they buy a button and it's ready out of the box. If they need specific customizations on the security side that need to connect to their corporate networks, then that can be managed as a separate undertaking.
When it actually hits the AWS cloud, what do we have here? I see you have AWS IoT one-click. So how does this differ from what some viewers might have tried with AWS IoT Core and Rules Engine, et cetera? What is this sort of more the simplified architecture you built?
So again, the key is simplicity.
Yeah.
What do we want to do there? In the one-click, there are two default functions out of the box: SMS and email.
Okay.
So when you press the button, it calls those functions, or it can call those two default functions.
And is that customized for the customer?
For each customer, it's customized.
Okay.
However, if you want to expand on that capability, there's no limit, because you can write Lambda functions to do whatever you want. You can call Lambda functions to call DynamoDB, or to make some decisions like if then this kind of functions right there in Lambda. And you can even go outside of the Amazon world into third-party CRM systems, because many of our corporate clients, they have their custom CRM systems and so on. So the Lambda function can actually make those calls as well directly.
Great. So once the sort of event happens, in this case a button press, and it does the authentication, certificate-based authentication, secure transmission of the event, it hits the device gateway, the AWS IoT one-click device gateway, and that in turn triggers a customer-specific Lambda, which can do a variety of things. You have DynamoDB here,
right.
or SNS, or I see SES, so send an email perhaps.
That's right.
Great. So this is a simple solution. It's nice, but it still uses multiple AWS services, and each of these services
That's
has
correct.
a different cost model.
That's
so
correct.
how do you actually, this is something customers ask me a lot. How do you take the pricing for the different services and bundle it for customers? How are you charging for this button?
Excellent question again. So part of the taking out the complexity is not just the technical integration, but it's also letting the customers do their ROI calculations and be able to justify the costs associated with this. So the one thing that we've done working with AWS is taken all these costs and bundled them into a single price.
Okay.
So this button is priced for 3 years, 1,500 clicks. For whatever you want to use it for.
And does that include
that includes the hardware device,
Yeah.
it includes the cellular communication pieces, and it includes all the AWS components that are going to be used behind it. So what that does for our customers is they don't have to calculate all of these different componentry and figure out their ROI models. They know for $30, they have 3-year, 1,500 clicks.
Got it.
And if they need to replenish those clicks, then they can do that later on.
Okay, so I imagine you ran a series of simulations
That's
to
correct.
sort of determine on a per-click basis how much it's going to cost you.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's great. That's removing the complexity out of the cost for the customer, in addition to the complexity of the actual event and triggers that happens. It's nice to see. I like how you're keeping it simple, but also keeping it flexible for customers through the Lambda integrations and the various things you can do.
I call it IoT for the process.
Yeah.
We talk about IoT as something where we put communication inside of assets. This is actually enabling the processes around it. For example, one of our first customers is ExxonMobil.
Yeah.
And ExxonMobil is using this button to replenish lubricant tanks. So a worker there, when he or she sees a tank level below a certain level, they can press the button and ask for additional inventory. Very simple use case, but it's IoT enabling their processes in that case. There are other customers in healthcare, retail, manufacturing. The use cases are endless. We launched this capability 6 months ago in May with AWS. And to date, we are seeing amazing amount of traction and POCs being run, as well as some commercial deployed customers in the market today.
Great, and little do those customers know that when they push that button, there's all this magic happening in the cloud. So.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, it's nice to see. Thanks so much for sharing this architecture with us today.
Thank you for having me here.
And thanks for watching. This is My Architecture.